everyone, welcome to our latest video in the Head in the Cloud series hosted by Citrus Global. Here with me today is Nitin Maslekar, who is in charge of product and tech at Miles Mobility. If you'd like to introduce yourself, Nitin.
Hey, good morning all. Pleasure to be here and talking with Jack today and sharing my views on the new world.
It's a pleasure to have you here today. So this year, it's been a challenging one for everyone. There's no avoiding that. But how was lockdown for you, and how has this year been for you personally?
To begin with, lockdown was a bit challenging for sure because it was like kind of a overnight change, I would say, practically on how we operated and how we worked together within our organization. So that kind of changed overnight, and we had to really kind of get to the new normal of continuing with the daily business with the same speed at the same time. Being remote, and then a lot of other, as everyone was remote, but it was not just remote working, but then everyone was locked down, right? So the families were at home. So to really find the balance was a bit challenging.
For sure.
Specifically to really understand when the workday starts and where should it end, because of the challenges that came in with, especially with if you're with families and small kids around, to really get that thing up and running without really.
Absolutely.
I mean, like the work-life balance really went out for a toss.
Went out the window. Yeah. It's definitely harder to have more of a structure to your day, isn't it? When you're at home, especially when you're not necessarily used to it. For sure, I suffered a lot of frustrations throughout that time. And what were the main frustrations you had from a personal perspective, business, or project perspective?
I mean, personally, I felt like there was this routine that kind of was taken away, right? There was always an option of work from home, which was always feasible, and people, myself, I have done it before as well. But then there was a routine because everyone else left. Pretty much the home was empty. I was alone working from home, or some only little bit of overlaps between the family time and the work time. So that was kind of the biggest frustration, where there was no routine in there, and there was no, as I said, like there was no predefined start time and end time. And getting used to that was the biggest challenge and frustration. But then I think it got better over the time, over the next 15-20 days. There was a new routine that was formed.
Yeah, that's it. You've got to try and incorporate a structure, haven't you, today? That's what I learned. Some days I wasn't necessarily taking a lunch break, or, work through lunch, and then I'd look at the time and I'd be like, blimey, I've just been flat out here. Or sometimes you get a bit more distracted and then you end up taking a bit of a longer lunch. But it's just finding that balance for sure. Yeah. Obviously, coming back now and after all this, have your priorities altered or changed at all?
I wouldn't say a lot. More or less they remain the same now. This almost the end of the year. I think the whole of 2020 has gone with this home office and a mix kind of thing. The lockdowns have been a new normal. I think now more or less the priorities look the same as they were without a lockdown or without like a normal routine. So with the initial challenges, the priorities had to be really adjusted and to really understand how we can prioritize. But now it has become a routine as well. So I think from that perspective, it's pretty much the same prioritization of work side, and also on the personal side is still at the same level now.
Okay, good. What would you say the biggest lessons are that you have learned throughout this year?
Obviously it would be more of how remote teams can work together, and how we can be efficient as well when being remote as well. I think that has been the biggest lesson. Per se, I still prefer being in the office and with the colleagues, because it has this personal touch to it, and we can be a bit more interactive, obviously, because it's still not 100%. Especially in the domain that I work in, which is mobility, not everyone can work from home. All our field force need to be in office. The customer needs to be in office. They can't really work from home. So there was this divide, some are supposed to be at work. They need to go to the cars and clean the car. They can't really clean a car sitting from home.
Yeah, very true. Yeah.
So we are in this mixed kind of scenario. So this was kind of a big learning of how we can work in this mixed kind of a scenario, where people are supposed to be at work and some people can work from home, especially on my side, where I just need a laptop to work.
Yeah, very true. No, it definitely has opened a lot of people's eyes, and I suppose businesses can now have that bit more trust in certain colleagues to work from home, especially in IT in that sector, because I've noticed the difference, a shift in that for when I've been working with companies in the past who wanted engineers or architects, developers on site when realistically they can do their work from home, but they wanted them on site the entire time. But this has shown that people can and will get on with the work, wherever they are really, when push comes to shove.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
What do you think is here to stay as a result of all this?
For sure, remote work was here to stay. I think most
Yeah.
companies, wherever it's feasible, they would kind of go in that direction where they would allow work from home or remote work, however you want to call it.
Yeah.
That's definitely here to stay, and I think that would get more and more relevant, especially in the IT sector.
Yeah. Agreed.
But I still feel that the biggest challenge would be of how we are going to split, right? Like either you have to make everyone to be remote
Hmm.
or everyone should be in the office, because I think that's still the challenge. Like if half of the team comes into the office and the rest half is in remote,
Yeah.
how do you sync that? Because like, there's this divide then.
Yeah, I know what you
So,
see. I know what you mean. It's about finding the balance, isn't it? Because like you mentioned before, it is nice having that social interaction, bouncing ideas off someone, going for a coffee or on lunch. You don't get that luxury when you're in the home office. It's arranging Zoom
absolutely.
calls. It's very different.
And
Dynamic.
interdepartments, right? I mean, like IT
Mm.
is not just about, I mean, like any organization is not just about IT or
Of course.
developers, right? There are other verticals that are there. Could be HR, could be finance, and just interacting with them over a Zoom call never works, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, obviously you work in a senior position. It must be harder, much more difficult to get to, I don't know, get to fully understand some of your colleagues or what they're feeling, what they're going through from a remote perspective. Whereas that social, missing that social interaction must be a bit more of a challenge for you.
Absolutely. I mean, like as I mentioned, right? Like challenges in finance, like what's happening with, hey, how do we control this thing? What questions are there? How can tech help in here? So
Yeah.
some things which would be just like naturally, you just bump into each other over coffee and then like discuss it out, and like really in an informal way. Now we have to really be like, oh, let's put a meeting and then we discuss that out.
Yeah. Yeah. It is
So
definitely. I know, slightly going off topic now, but are you expecting a bounce back in the economy at all?
for sure, yes, I think like with like any depressions that have been there in the past, the economy would bounce back
Hmm.
in a different way for sure. I mean, everybody would get adjusted to the new normalcy because it would be a combination, right? Like for if you look at retail per se, like the in-shop buying might go down, but the online sales would go up.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the sales channel changed now, so that way the economy definitely would bounce back. In certain industries, there would be change in this direction. Obviously, the industry where I work in, mobility, I hope people do go out at some point of time and start using or start going around for sure, because that would happen for sure, because people would go out for restaurants or get
Yeah.
social gatherings.
Yeah.
So pretty much the economy would come come back. It might be a bit slower because of
Yeah.
the unknown entity that we have around. We really don't know the impact of what would happen if you get COVID, how the vaccine would really impact us.
Mm.
Probably it would be a bit slower, but I feel the economy would be much more better coming back actually.
The
People
def
would be more focused on building profitable businesses.
I agree. I've definitely noticed a sense of optimism, a shift in, sense of optimism over recent weeks, especially since the news of the vaccines. So I've for sure
Absolutely.
noticed that, and hopefully 2021 isn't as well challenging or unique as 2020's been. It's been
Absolutely.
it's been
Absolutely.
some
I mean, like I saw a very good image the other day where like 2020, the zeros were replaced with masks, and 2021, the one was replaced with a syringe, like a vaccine. So
That's
it's a
quite.
sense of optimism.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I quite like that. That's good.
Yeah.
Well,
So
obviously this year, as I say, it's been a challenge for everyone. It's been lessons have been learned, and obviously there's a lot to take on board. But what advice would you give to businesses moving forwards now?
like for me, it would be more of really focusing on what makes the business profitable, right? Like obviously
Yeah.
there's a mix of before the COVID hit, like people would be really focused on the growth, like how
Yeah.
can we just grow? But I
Yeah.
think there has to be a fine balance between the profitability and the growth.
Okay.
More purely because of uncertainties like this can hit. And if that hits, and if you're really focused on the growth and not really focusing on how we can build a sustainable business,
Hmm.
then you're really out of the game, right? Because of this uncertainty which hit you for 1 year.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Interesting. So,
So
to growth. Yeah. Okay. A few things. Interesting. Very interesting.
so that would be something which is also a biggest takeaway from for me as well from a business perspective, like where how can we really focus a bit more on building a sustainable business so which can handle where there's a better cushioning for the uncertainties that might come up along.
Right. Okay. What advice would you give to, well, or what would you ask more so of a modern talent partner? What would be advice for that? What would you now ask in the new normal?
That's a good question, actually. I mean, like, I don't know, I think it's more of getting to understand the businesses a bit more as well, right? Like,
Yeah.
because as I said, right, like, since we changed the approach from a business perspective, it would not be just providing the candidates, but also the talent partner should understand the business with partner with whom he's working with
Yeah.
in a bit more detail to really understand, like, hey, what are your focuses? Why would you challenge our own needs as well, right? Hey, why do you want to grow this team in this direction?
Okay.
To really understand that particular bit, understanding business is a bit more detailed.
Yeah.
I think that's something which I expect from the talent partners.
So more attention to detail and sort of dig a bit deeper to try and find, well, get a bit more accuracy really regarding
Exactly. I mean,
suitable
it's not
talent.
just about finding the candidates, right? Like
Mm.
the talent partners are good at finding individuals
Yeah.
with the requirement, but then how that individual might fit into a business that you're. So that would be the more critical part.
Understanding the technical and also the cultural side of things as well. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
No, interesting.
I think
That's
that would be the most challenging part.
agreed. Okay. Very interesting. Well, look, thank you very much for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on as a guest in the Head in the Cloud series. Hopefully, we can have you on again in future and we can look back on 2020 with a smile on our face, I
Yeah.
suppose, with a bit more
Absolutely was a
positivity.
Absolutely was a pleasure chatting with you and sharing my thoughts here. And probably we'll have better things or more positive things to discuss on 2021.
For sure. Thanks for your time and I wish you the best of success.
Thank you.